Back in Ephesians 6, from verse 10 to 20, as we look at the armor of God. We spoke last time about the armor, different parts of the armor, the belt of truth, breastplate of righteousness, and the shoes of readiness to preach gospel of peace. And all these different pieces are meant to help us victorious in this battle. Keep in mind, always, there are people at war. The enemy is crafty, is powerful, and is spiritual. We come against him with spiritual weapons. We look to there are two more bits of the armor that we need to use to ensure at the end of the day we are on our feet. We look to that the shield of faith and the helmet of salvation. It says, above all, take the shield of faith. Above all that's gone before, make sure you have your shield. Now, the Roman shield was oblong in shape, 4.5 feet top to bottom, 2.5 by the sides. It could cover all vital organs. It could be moved from side to side to protect us. Now, the shield is meant to protect against the darts of the enemy. Darts are long-range weapons. You can throw them and from different angles. You need your shield to protect yourself against these darts. I remember years ago in the 70s, we used to come to town to watch movies. And there were these Chinese movies. And I recall once a scene where the hero is like down in the middle of something and people are around him with arrows, shooting. And he's cut into pieces. I said, no more Chinese movie for me. And that just doesn't make sense. You can't protect yourself against arrows like that. You need the shield. The shield for us is a shield of faith. Now, these darts are fiery darts, flaming arrows used by the Caribs of old, doubly dangerous. They can pierce and they also can burn. The devil throws darts at God's people. So to be safe from the darts, we need the shield of faith. I want to look at Job as someone who used the shield of faith against devil's darts. Now in Job 1, from verse 6 onwards, we have a challenge. Devil comes among the sons of God. And, God says to him, look at Job. He is my servant. He serves me faithfully. Devil says, well, why is Job serving you? Things are good with Job. Blessed on every side. If you just touch him, you will see what he does. Now, it's important for us to understand what's happening here because today, it seems to me, we focus a lot on ourselves, on what we can do. It's a man-centered that we have today. So we see things like, God helps me achieve what I want to achieve. So is God. He's a genie in a bottle. You tell him what you want, and he gives it to you. Satan says, the moment Job gets what he wants from you, he is going to abandon you. So that's a challenge. Why am I serving God? Because things are good? Because I am blessed? Or because God is God? That's the critical question. They was convinced that once the blessings went, it was God. So God said, okay, They have permission to afflict him. And then the darts started flying. Job lost his wealth. Chapter 1, 14 to 17. In Job's time, your animals or your bank account. He had lots of animals, but in a short bit of time, all were gone. You see, wealth is referred to in the Bible as being uncertain. You can be rich today and poor tomorrow. I'm sure we know people who used to be rich. But where's the wealth now? Job lost his wealth in a quick time. That's number one. Verse 18 to 19. Job lost his children. Again, just like that. They are taken. Now, one might say, the money can go, but not my children. I mean, that's my flesh and blood. And Job loved his children. But all time we see him, he's praying to God, offering, sacrifice to God on behalf of his children. So he loved them. And in a moment, they are taken, one stroke. It had to be something painful. For when a loved one dies, the pain is there. Remember Lazarus who died? It says, Jesus wept. What did it say? Behold, how he loved him. So here's Job losing at one stroke his children. Bear in mind as well, in this culture, children were highly valued as the Lord's heritage. Nowadays, they are a nuisance, inconvenience to be aborted. Not so in biblical times. They were seen as a blessing from God. So if your children were taken from you, God will abandon you. So Job lost his children. That's that number 2. That number 3, chapter 2 of Job. He lost his health. So the devil ups the ante. He now attacks Job personally, attacks his body. Now I'm sure we all know that one boil in the wrong place is bad enough. Job is covered from head to toe in boils. Job 1, verse 7. Who likes to be sick? And here is Job dealing with a physical affliction. That's a dart from the enemy. But there's more. Job 4, 7 to 9. A loss of reputation. His friends come to comfort him. And they said, Job, there is no man who is suffering, who is innocent. So if you are suffering, it's something wrong you have done. They went on, later on in the book of Job, to say, Job, it is something wicked you have done. You have great iniquity. That's why you are suffering. Now think of somebody who is an upright person, who is suffering and is being told it's something wrong you did. Ever notice something? There are people who are wrong and want to appear right. So they come to clear the air. Think of somebody who is right and made to appear wrong. That was Job's situation. So it was very painful for him. Or the devil, is called the accuser. He'll always come and say, it's something you did. In the midst of your pain, he comes to you with that. This was what Job experienced as God's servant. As they would say, he never threw everything at Job, including the kitchen sink. He threw everything at Job. All the darts came. So how did Job survive? The shield of faith. Now keep in mind something, beloved. Job did not know what took place between God and Satan. He was not there in the discussion. All he knew was what he was experiencing at the moment. You see, we can be wise after the event. So something happens, something people say, well, you know, he should have done this, should have done that. That's when the thing happened already, you know. You see the whole outcome. Put them in the same situation, they won't do anything right. But we can be wise after the event. Job didn't have any information. So why could he overcome in such a situation? It was his faith in God that quenched all of those darts that came against him. Job 2 verse 10. He affirms whatever comes from God's hand must be accepted, whether it be good or bad. You see, he's affirming the sovereignty of God. When you're a person of faith, you don't fight with God. God is sovereign. He does what he pleases. So we start by recognizing that he's sovereign. He can do whatever he wants. Now, if you say, God, you got to bless me. Bless me, God. And if you don't bless me, I don't want you. That's today's word. Start by saying, God, you are sovereign. Job 13:15. He says, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Now, when you have faith in God, you are committed to God, even when you don't fully understand what God is doing. You see, if I trust you, and you are doing something that I don't quite understand, because I trust you, I would think I'm safe. And that's the key to everything. A song says this way: God is too wise to be mistaken. He is too good to be unkind. So when you don't understand, when you don't see his plan, when you can't trace his hand, trust his heart. That's the key. So you're saying, God, right now I don't understand why this happened, why I lost my husband, why this happened, or whatever it is. But I'm trusting you because you are a wise God. You're a good God. So Job is saying, I am being slain, but I'm still trusting you, God. That's faith. That will quench the darts of the wicked one. Then Job 23, verse 10. Job says, he knows the way that I take. And when he has tried me, I shall come out as gold. This shows more understanding now. Job is saying, what is happening here to me is a trial. It's a test. It's meant to make me better. And I will come out as gold. Yes, it's difficult, but the God I know works all things together for good to those who love him. So he's saying by this, my suffering is not pointless. Beloved, if right now You are going through something difficult. There's pain in your life. It is not pointless. God is doing a work in you right now. And you will come out from this as gold. That's what Job said. That's the shield of faith. But it doesn't mean for you to doubt God, to reject God. Say, God, you don't care about me, so I'm leaving. It is faith that will help us to overcome the world. 1 John 5:4. The darts will not stop coming. I can tell you that. Okay? You fix one thing, something else comes. But the shield is there. That when the darts come, you can quench them. You move it around and the darts can't get into you. And that same shield that Job used is available to us today to be used against the enemy to quench every dart. So that's, first of all, the shield of faith. The second thing we have today is the helmet of salvation. The helmet protects the head, the control center of the body. You notice head injuries are often fatal. We need to ensure we have a healthy head. Isaiah 1:5. When the head is sick, you are in real trouble. The enemy tries to control the way we think, to get us focused on what is down here, to lose that perspective that we are pilgrims, that we belong to heaven. We need to have the right focus, victorious in this battle. Our thinking must be shaped by our great salvation. We serve a God who has delivered us from a great death, who does deliver us, and in whom we trust will yet deliver us. 2 Corinthians 1:10. It's past, it's present, it's future. When we wear the helmet of salvation, we expect deliverance from God, from whatever we are facing now, while we wait for the deliverance when the Lord returns. So we are people who expect deliverance. We have the helmet of salvation on our heads. How does this help us against the enemy? When the helmet is on, we are protected from compromise in the face of danger. One of the devil's biggest weapons against us is fear. You're trying to scare us into disobeying God because we'll face certain consequences. So Daniel chapter 3, Nebuchadnezzar, he makes the big statue and says, when you hear the music, bow down and worship. If you don't bow down, it's the fire for you. That was what was for the people at that time. Bow or burn. But there are three young men. What a different view of things. The king, we can answer you with confidence, because our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the furnace, and he will deliver us. That sense of God delivering was what made those young men stand up and face the enemy. You see, David says to you, if you don't do this, you're going to be in trouble. You have faith to say, God will deliver me. I expect deliverance, so I'm not going to compromise. Why is it people sometimes do not speak the truth? in certain situations. They're afraid of consequences. If you talk like that, they're going to say you're foolish, or they're going to take away something from you. So you have Christians in key positions who don't speak up. Look, when you're trusting God, you speak with boldness because you know no weapon formed against you is going to prosper when you honor God. So you will not just compromise. You will stand up because you are trusting God. Not saying that there's going to be backlash because I speak up. You trust God to protect you from whatever comes. That's kind of the salvation we're talking about. So you are going to be totally committed to God. You will stand for what's right, even though it seems like if there's danger involved. That's the first thing. It also means when you have a helmet, you are protected from giving up when there's difficulty. What the psalmist says, Psalm 27:13. I would have fainted unless I had believed to see the goodness of God in the land of the living. In other words, he's saying, because I believe God is coming for me, I am not going to give up. I expect deliverance, so I will not quit. The Bible says, serving God makes no sense. You put in all this effort and you're getting nowhere. You expect God to work, so you don't give up. Every time I come to Elim, it says to me, don't give up. Right, Angie? Don't give up. Might look as if you're getting nowhere. But you trust God to work, you expect Him to come in for you, so you don't give up. It says, Galatians 6:9, don't be weary in well doing. When you see they're going to reap if you don't give up. You expect God to come in for you, so you don't give up. Thirdly, when you have your helmet on, you're protected from harboring sin in your life. 1 John 3:1-3 talks about the hope we have of Christ's return. Verse 3 says, if you have this hope in you, you purify yourself. If you expect the Lord to come back, you keep the house clean. Don't let garbage pile up in your house. Keep the house clean. Keep your life pure. What if something comes that shouldn't be there? Confess and forsake and continue to serve God. Don't let things pile up. We are looking for the Lord to return anytime. And so we keep ourselves pure. And fourthly, when you expect deliverance from God, we are protected from idleness. Luke 19:13. Occupy until I come. Be busy while you wait for me to come. For you see, the day will come when you have to come to the Lord. Or we have used our gifts, our time, our talents. If I'm looking for the Lord to return, I need to be busy in His service. And you see, if I know He's coming back, I'm sure of one thing as well, that my labor is not in vain. So I can keep going because I know that God is there. And not be a Billy Button. Remember last time we spoke about David and his great sin, how it began with being idle. Should have been at war He was home relaxing when the trouble started. Let's be busy, beloved, in the Lord's service as we wait for him to return for us, to deliver us from this wicked world. The helmet must be on so we can be saved. God has given us, beloved, a shield and a helmet. Don't go to battle unprotected. Now in St. Vincent, we are a culture that doesn't value safety. So why do I say this? You see a truck laden with stuff, all right, going down the road. And there's a guy on the truck. Where is he sitting? At the highest point of the truck, with his back turned to where he's going. Or a guy is working on that truck with a jack, and that's all he has. No block, nothing blocking up the truck. Just a jack. That's invention. Nothing that man, nothing that man. We need to be a people who think about safety. Don't conform to your culture. Think safety. I shared recently about what happened in Jamaica with that taxi when the brakes failed. But I'm glad for one thing. I had my seatbelt on. I picked up that habit in the States. So I didn't lose it. So when I came back and the lock came in, that was easy for me because I was putting on my seatbelt. But having the belt on made a difference in that day. Safety is crucial. Take the shield of faith. Trust God, and all those darts that come will be quenched because you trust God. Put on your helmet. Have that right focus. Look at God, the deliverer. And once you expect God to deliver you, nothing or no one can scare you into disobeying God. I trust that all of us who are believers will stop and check ourselves now. And make sure we have the shield and the helmet so we can be safe as we take on the enemy. May God bless you.